In my last video, which was about finding companies using our web API in Excel, I showed you how you could use our API in order to bring down details about a company, and then we can use those details in order to be able to download financial data about that particular company. Now, I didn't actually get round to downloading any financial data with the last video, so that's what this one's about. And in order to do that, we need to move from the Codes tab, which we're in at the moment, to one of these over here, which is where we download financial information. And I'm going to leapfrog the standard section and go straight to the filing section. So we will do that, and I will explain how all of this works. So we're looking here at the balance sheet, or BS for short, for the company with the ticker AHL, which is Aspen, and we're looking at the filing for 2016, the 10K for that year. And it's a very simple query. It's just bringing back the latest year for that filing, so that's why you're seeing 2016 up there. So it's really easy to specify the data you want to bring down. You just need to specify the section, the company ticker, and the year of the filing. Now, wherever you see coloured boxes in this workbook, it means that you can enter data or data can be input. Now, if they are shaded, it means that they're actually being pulled from somewhere else in the workbook, and you can see that from this formula up here. And these ones are all being pulled from the sheet I skipped over, the standard section tab. And the reason for that is this is actually the sheet we want to be on. This is kind of where the magic happens, except I want to start with the filing section because just it's a little bit simpler, so I can sort of introduce a few concepts over here before we move back to the standard section. So like I said, we've got these three inputs. One of them, even though it appears it's being pulled through from the standard section, which it kind of is, because if we go there, we can see that's what it's referencing. But this sheet is actually putting it all the way back from the COS sheet. And this is one we looked at in the last video. We were looking at how you could search and find companies and in order to identify tickers. In order to actually sort of bring down companies using our web queries, you need the ticker for the company you're interested in. So we can select those, and that's what gets used in the queries, whatever's in this particular box here. So if we want to select a different company, we can use our drop down so that we can see our list of saved companies. So let's maybe choose the next one on the list. And then if we go back to the filing section, and as you can see, it's automatically changed it, and we can just press Alt F5 to refresh the query. But we need to remember that we actually need to be on the query in order for it to work. So instead of beeping at me this time, hopefully it should run. As you can see, it's sort of running down there, and it's updated it. So we're now looking at the balance sheet for AIG. Now, I want to also look at another company. So I'm going to zip back to the COS tab, and I'm going to select Gilead Sciences, and I think I'm going to ticker for that. I think it's GILD. So we can then pull it back over here. We don't actually need to do this because it just needs to be there. If we got the ticker there, we can just go straight, but I always find it's kind of useful to have a look at all the details, see what the latest filing is, etc., etc. Yeah, when we come to the standard section, it does pull the actual dates from here as well, just so you're not having to enter them as well. So it's very useful to actually sort of bring this right up to date. So anyway, jumping back to the filing section where we were, as you can see, it's updated it for Gilead's ticker. Now, if we want to look at another section, we can, on this sheet, override these boxes. If you've got boxes which are clear and they're outlined as well, you can enter data in. So that's going to enable us to change it to income statement, and if we want to see the filing for the latest year, 2020, we can put that in there as well, and then we just run our query. So a bit of Alt F5, and we are actually on the query for a change. So yeah, as you can see, it's brought back the data for Gilead. And yeah, the reason I wanted to bring data back for this particular company is it will enable me to demonstrate some concepts about XBRL and the issues with XBRL through this particular section for Gilead Life Sciences. Over here, we have exactly what you would see if you were to go to the SEC website and look at the company's filing and to look at the income statement. And it is absolutely the same. And the reason why it cannot be anything different is it's coming from the same place. If you go to the SEC website, what you will see is the XBRL copy of their 10K. Now, that is where we get our data. We basically use those documents to source our data, and the tagging that is provided in there enables us to populate our database. So there is no way that these values here or these descriptions here, or indeed the order of these items, which is kind of represented by these positions over here, can be anything other than what you see if you go to the SEC website. This is the as reported data, and it cannot be anything other than that. So that's what's happening on this side. Buried in those XBRL documents, along with all the formatting, which enables it to be presented nice and prettily in a browser, are the tags. And those are the things that we're picking up in order to be able to put the data in our database. So yeah, these are your XBRL tags, and the system that's been used for tagging is shown in this column here. So most of these tags are US GAAP tags. Now, there are two potential problems that we kind of need to deal with if we're going to be able to use all this tagging to standardize the data. And one of those is the fact that, in one sense, companies don't actually disclose the data in a standardized way, because they're carrying on doing what they've always done, which is to show the information how they want to, with whatever descriptions they choose, and obviously with the values over here. And then what they do is they come along and plonk a load of tagging on the top of it. So what that means is if they don't normally disclose a particular subtotal that you're interested in, then you will not see a tag of that in the XBRL data. It will not be in that XBRL document. So you've got to kind of create it. So that's one of the things that we do over here, or enable you to do over here, with our standard column. The other problem is that companies are allowed to, yes, use different tags from the standard tags if they don't feel those standard tags properly describe the item that they want to disclose. So we've got an example here. So they've got two types of research and development here. They've got the stuff which has kind of been created sort of in-house, and this is the stuff they've bought. And they have used different tags to describe that, and we may be very comfortable with that. That's fine. That may be totally appropriate for them and for us as users of data. The issue, though, is that because they've used an extension tag, which is what these are called in the XBRL parlance, then it means that that tag is unique to that company, and that's the tag they've used for this particular filing. They could potentially use a different tag next year to maybe describe the same thing. So you get some sense of the fact that yeah, they make these things up, one hopes with a little bit of skill and attention to detail, but at the end of the day, the problem is they're not standard, which means that when we try to compare, say, for example, the total of R&D against from one company against another company, we have an issue because this value will not get picked up. So that's the other thing that we're kind of allowing for in our standard column here. We have the ability to override these extension tags with a standard tag. And we will see this all at work when we move over to the standard section, which we'll be looking at in the next video. We will see how we can start to utilize this standardized tagging in order to be able to present this data in a more standardized way.